Hey guys, welcome to the Far-Flung Tin Can podcast. I hope you're having an incredible day. So the last few weeks have been really, really special here for Far-Flung. And the reason is because it is travel season and summer is where we do the majority of our missions traveling. And so we've had a few people that have been in different countries for an extended time. And I know Jeremy Carruthers was in Japan for 3 months, and you may have heard about that. Renee, she has been in Mozambique for, I think, about a month and a half now. And we are in Ecuador as I record this, and we've been here for about a week and a half working on 2. And Brian Lindsay just got back home from Thailand. And Kyle is about to head back to Mozambique to spend some time with Celia with another team. So this is definitely a busy, busy season, but we love that we get to do what we do. And the stories that are going to come out of this, of just testimonies of what the Lord has done and is doing around the world. I cannot wait to be able to hear those and share those. So be looking forward to some more content, just stories from the mission field. We're going to be talking about extended time, what that's like. So we've got some more content coming your way. Anyhow, for now, let's listen in to Kyle and Celia as they do a deep dive in Celia's time in Africa.
I believe the city can be transformed. You got to be willing to take the initiative. When you go and tell, he will back it up every time.
Well, this is a first podcast that we've done like live in Gumbane. So this is exciting because we might have, if you're watching the video version, you're going to see a lot of just things happening behind us. I think we just missed all the chickens being slaughtered, and those would have picked up on the mics for sure. How many, do you know how many chickens they just took out?
67.
They just killed 67 just now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's for what?
That is for the special event we're going to have with the kids next Saturday.
That's going to be great.
Yes.
So we have church in a little bit, and we've just got this kind of hour before to sit and talk. And so who knows? People might. Celia is kind of the point person for everything. Even though you don't do everything, you're a little bit of the point person. So I have a feeling there's going to be a few times where someone comes up and they don't know what's happening, and they're going to ask a question.
They were asking me if I was going to sing. So I'm not.
Who was asking?
Just Marta right now. She was asking if I was going to sing.
Oh, because of the mics?
Yes.
No.
So I can be a point person for
They
many
probably
things,
thought
but
they
not
heard.
singing.
They thought they heard you singing, but it was them killing the chickens. Okay, so we want this to be a little kind of a deep dive on you and your work here. So we're gonna go all over the place, but tell us a little bit about why Africa, how you got to this continent.
Well, that I have to go back many years ago, as many as like 21 years ago, when I first graduated from Bible college. When you're graduating, you're praying about what to do next. And in my class, I graduated with 2 students from Guinea-Bissau, another country in West Africa. And
they speak Portuguese there,
They
right?
speak Portuguese as well, yes. So they were going back to their country to help support an existing Bible school. And so their pastor came to, I'm from Brazil, and so I was studying in Brazil, and so we had these 2 students, and so their pastor came to our Bible school graduation and pleaded us, the graduates, to please come to my country to help and support our Bible school and teach and train our pastors, our people. So I responded to that call, and I started getting ready and prepared to go to Guinea-Bissau. In the process, when I was doing a missions training program in Bolivia as a part of my as a part of the process of going to Guinea-Bissau, then Heidi Baker, the leader of Iris Ministries, asked one of our leaders of our church if our church in Brazil would have a Brazilian missionary that could come and help, because it was just after the floods, a big, massive floods that they had in the year 2000. And so that was 2001. And so then he contacted our missions director in Brazil, and she contacted me in Bolivia and said, hey, I know our plan is for you to go to Guinea-Bissau, but would you consider, instead of going to Guinea-Bissau, go to Mozambique? Because the need there is absolutely massive at the moment. And I took 3 days to pray, and I prayed about it. And so I felt from the Lord. So
Did you have a call to Africa?
I didn't have a call to Africa. I do not have a call to Africa. I do not have a call to any specific location. My call is to serve the Lord wherever He calls me to. So I do not have a geographic call. I am here now for 19 years working in Mozambique, but I could be anywhere, literally.
So you felt good about going to Guinea-Bissau.
Yes.
Is there any part of you like, okay, well, I felt peace about going there, and now I have another opportunity? Was there anything about being torn, like?
No, the interesting, it's a very interesting question, because deep in my heart, I responded the call to go to Guinea-Bissau because I wanted to serve. Like I just said, I do not have a geographic call, call. So she's gonna pass in front of the
It's
camera.
okay. Mama can do whatever she wants.
So since I did not have a geographic location like call, I responded that call, but I didn't. It's not that the Lord thundered in my ear saying, "Go to Guinea-Bissau." So when I took in Bolivia, when I took those 3 days to pray about it, I actually felt more peace about coming to Mozambique than I ever felt about going to Guinea-Bissau. And in the process of preparing myself to go to Guinea-Bissau, I questioned. I was like, yeah, I know I responded to the call. The pastor asked and he pleaded us, and I said yes. But I mean, I would have gone, but I didn't have that deep inner confirmation. But when I prayed about Mozambique, it was like I felt it.
You realize you're like blowing someone's mind, because there's a lot of people that follow Far-Flung and love Celia and love the work of Celia, and they're hearing you say, I've been here for 19 years and I am not called to Mozambique. There's a lot of Americans right now that are going to be like, I'm sorry, you've just spent 19 years of your life doing work somewhere, and you're saying that you did that and you don't have to be like summoned to Mozambique?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because this is exactly how I feel. I can serve anywhere in the world. Right now, in this season of my life, I feel that I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I am doing exactly what I am supposed to be doing. And nothing would fulfill more in my life than being here and doing what I'm doing. And this is exactly what I'm saying. Even though I just said that, I don't feel like God picked me in my mom's womb and said, I'm going to send you to Mozambique. So here's the thing. If you have a heart to serve the Lord, He will use you wherever He wants to. The location, I would not like at this point in my life, to be honest, to be in America. At this point of my life, I would not like, if I could choose, I would not like to be in Brazil. I would not like to be anywhere in the world. I am fulfilled and satisfied to be serving the Lord here right now where I am, because I know that this is where I am supposed to be now. But tomorrow I can be anywhere. And would I choose it? No. But when I was in Bolivia, I felt the same way, the exact same way I feel now. When I was in Bolivia, it was only 6 months, but I would walk through the fields of like the plantation of peach and maize and whatever else. And I was in a rural area, as I am here now too. And I felt so fulfilled to be there. And I felt I am exactly where I am supposed to be right now. But the day I left, I left. So was I called to be in Bolivia? I was called to serve the Lord at that season of my life in that location, but not for the rest of my life. So I am in Mozambique and I have applied for my Mozambican citizenship. I want it. I have no plan, no time frame to leave. But what I'm saying, yes, I'm not called exactly to Mozambique. I'm called to serve the Lord wherever He wants me to.
There's a lot of people that need the security of knowing that it's not their choice.
Sorry, I don't
They need
mean
the divine will of God because they don't want to make a mistake.
Well, for me, that's the thing. The mistake is to be outside His will. That's the mistake. When I was in Bolivia, I was interviewed by a college, university student. She was doing a research for one of her papers. So she asked me, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And she was not a believer. And I thought, I answered according to what I had in my heart, but I thought, it's hard for someone, like you said, that needs security, that needs to grab on, like to hold on to something, because when she asked me that question, I thought, I don't know. And I don't want to know. I want to be in 5 years. I want to be where God wants me to be. And up until that point, I did not know where God wanted me to be in 5 years from that point on. And I was in Mozambique after that, like the 5 years after that. But then I didn't know. And I was okay with that as long as I felt that I was in God's will. For me, the mistake then is to be outside of His will. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. So you get here, you work with Iris for 13
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit when, as you're transitioning out, you start, tell us about how you met Mama.
So I was sent by the Church of God in Brazil, and they didn't yet had the established connection, communication with the Church of God in Mozambique, although the Church of God in Mozambique was established for many years. So then I came to work with Iris Ministries, but also to make that connection in between the Church of God in Brazil and the Church of God in Mozambique. So in doing that, I met the national overseer, which then was Mama Maria's husband. And so they took me in, welcomed me into the country as a missionary to the church. And for about 2 years, they were like just watching me, because they had had bad experiences with foreign missionaries. And so they just watched me. They were like, probably like looking where I was going and what was my intentions. And so after 2 years, the Church of God in Brazil helped me to get a car, because up until that point, I just walked around. I went on public transportation. And so then when I got my first car, I basically became the chauffeur of Pastor Raimundo Sivi, which was the national overseer. And by doing that, I was just their driver. In my car, I'll go pick him up, take him places where he went to preach, took him like to other provinces, other places, talking to do wedding celebrations in other places. And so in that, then they really got to know me, and that's when they really opened up. And I asked Mama Maria to come to Gumbane with her. Back then, in this whole community, in this whole area, there was only one block house. All of the houses here were thatch roof houses, were houses, what they call like of temporary material. That's like reed material. So then I came with her, and I just fell in love with this community. And I really, really wanted to make a difference, because there was absolutely nothing. To this day, there is no electricity, there is no water, running water. So I just wanted to make a difference in this community. But basically, this is how we met. And
how would you describe her?
She is a mighty prayer warrior. She fasts and prays like nobody else. When she came to this community, and some people heard that she had intention to open a church, they said, "You know you're going to be killed, right? Because the witches in the community are going to kill you." And she said, "Well, if I die, I die. But I'm not going to stop doing what I feel the Lord wants me to do. If I die, I die." And thankfully, she didn't die so far.
And so we meet, and we've talked about this some in the film, just a random, well, I shouldn't say random, but a pastor comes into our coffee shop at the time and asks, "What do you got going on?" And I kind of give him a generic, "Oh yeah, we're working on some different projects." And he's like, "No, but specifically," he asked again, "What are you working on right now?" I said, "We're trying to figure out who our next missionary is that we're going to partner alongside." And he's like, "You need to work with Celia Mendes in Mozambique. She's Brazilian." And I was like, "Okay, so tell me about it." He tells me a little bit about the orphanage over there, Iris. Didn't know what Iris was. Tells me a little bit about the community here, I think. That's it. He leaves. And I sent you a Facebook message. You had one friend request left because
Yeah.
you're so popular.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it felt like, okay, this is
Yeah.
the person for the spot. And I sent you a message and said, "This is what we do." I watched one video of yours on Facebook of you like driving to Gumbane. This is how we do this and all that. And I was just like, she just feels like Far-Flung. She feels like a fit. And so then I'm on my way to retreat. And I was like, I need to talk to this person on the phone. So I call you on my way to Far-Flung retreat. And you're standing
By that tree.
by this tree behind us if you're watching the video podcast. And one of the things you said, "Oh, I'm looking up at the stars." And that's one of the things, you have to see the stars here in Mozambique. And even so now, like, it's a little different now. The ambient light from the city is getting brighter and brighter,
Yeah.
even from a few years ago. So I came, and that wasn't while you were in transition from, you were coming here on the weekends. You had already established a church. You already had 3 classrooms here. You had some of this house here. You
Yeah.
had some water towers. You'd already done a lot of work here. But you were transitioning out of the orphanage at Iris into just doing this. And that's just, I love that we got to come and in that film, we told the story of how what you've done the last few years, and we kind of left it on, this is what's on the horizon. And now we're here 6 years later.
Wow.
And so much. She has, a feeding project because they're feeding kids how many days a week?
Oh, from Tuesday to Saturday.
And they have how many church services a week right now?
About 10 altogether. Yeah.
And then they've got a sewing project, and they have water delivery program, and now they have chickens that they're feeding to everyone, and you're building a bigger church that's twice the size of the church they're in right now. We're in the new guest house right now. All these things. What is the point of, like, at what point do you just sustain and you don't grow? What needs to be here? You finish the church. You I don't know, maybe you build a couple more classrooms. I don't know. You got enough chickens. At what point, or does the thought of that just be like, that's boring? Where you just go, okay, it's all built. The flowers are here, the trees, everything's running. Now we just sustain it and feed more and more kids. Is there a point?
I'm not sure, because the vision is huge. I won't say my vision, actually, to be honest, but God's vision for this place. Because the promises he has released over this place go beyond what I can even imagine. He has not given all the details, but he has mentioned things like the nations will come here and will get healing from this place. The nations will come here and take the fire from this place. That water from this place will spread out throughout the world. So whatever that looks like, whatever that may be like, whatever that will need for that to take place, I don't know. I just know that I don't know. I just know that I don't know, because recently one of the last things like of these dimension that God spoke to me, he said, I will not tell you all of it now. And this is just a few months ago, where like he disclosed this massive prophetic word almost audibly. And I wrote as fast as I could because I didn't want to miss any word. And he said, and what I am to do, I am not going to tell you everything now, because you are going to tell me that you're not capable. But it's not about you. It's about what I want to do. And so I don't know where we stop. Maybe we won't stop.
I can see you getting to the point where there's no more buildings, and that's when you say, well, we need to mirror this in another village.
Well, even so now, because one thing that I have in my heart is that I do not want to build an empire, meaning that I do not want to build something to be so comfortable and say, this is good. Like the Bible says, okay, now soul of mine, look and drink and eat and then just rest. I don't ever see myself doing that or thinking that way or getting that kind of rest. So right now, I share from what we have because I feel like it can't be one location. It can't be one group of kids. It can't be one church to have a blessing. Like people that know me, they may invest in this, and I feel like it can't be just where I am. So right now we're extending to another church that they started. I watched that church for 2 years, and I had on my heart, the day they start working with kids, the day they start, I don't want to make them start, so they won't be doing something based on the help they get. But the day they start, I will share some of what we have, and then I'll give them. And so this year they started working with kids. And so I watched them for months. So after 6 weeks, I called the pastor. I said, no, we're going to help you. They have about 100 kids every Saturday. And so even yesterday I sent him, it's not much, but because we don't have that much either, but a little bit of what we have, I am sharing with another church that is doing.
Was he surprised?
He was, yes, he was shocked that I would even look outside of what we are doing.
Because it's not to your best interest.
No,
to help him.
we gain nothing from that. Like we don't gain name, or it's just
Kind of the
helping
name of the
kids.
business we're in. Doing a lot of things that we don't benefit from.
And as a matter of fact, no one knows this, but like now you all know, but no one knew that, except of course my leadership team. But
What-
that I had that on my heart.
Of all the things, there's a lot of frustrations as well, but there's a lot of fruit that happens here, and all these beautiful. What's the thing that lights you up the most that you see happen here?
It's when I see the kids praying. Like today, I had a really, really, really extremely busy day, and with some frustrations from many different areas. But then I walked into the church and the kids were there. And I get those glimpses, those moments of deep joy and satisfaction. That's when, like, okay, I had frustrations in this certain area, and then I walk in and see the kids praying. And then I'm like, okay, this is worth it. So these are the highlights of my days. Although I do not work anymore directly with the kids, as in like teaching them, dancing with them, singing with them, teaching them how to pray. I have a team that does that. But I am behind the team. I am the mind behind it, with the vision and the purpose. And so when I see that happening, I'm like, okay. Yeah. So that satisfies my heart.
Did you think when I messaged you on Facebook, or at least the first time I said, we're coming to do a film, did you think that the relationship with Far-Flung and you would be, could you imagine that it would be what it is now?
Absolutely not. Because over the years, many people have promised things, and I learned how to listen and wait and never count on it until I see it on my hand, or until I see it happening. And so I listened. I thought, well, this is interesting. You asked me to watch the videos, so I watched some of it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. But I'm like, okay, I'm listening, I'm watching, and I'm waiting. And it happened, and it keeps on growing and happening. And I'm so humbled by, if we have come only up to this point, I would have already been beyond grateful, and even in my wildest imaginations, I would not have come to this far. And so, and it keeps growing, it keeps going, and I'm grateful and humbled by it.
That listening and waiting is something that I'm always juggling, because I've had a lot of people, as I'm fundraising and I'm doing things, I've had a lot of people that promise you something big.
Yeah.
And then, for a while there, when you get promised something big, you get so excited. You tell everybody, this is happening. And then when it falls through, it's just a gut punch.
Yeah.
But so then you start going, I always try to find the balancing act between having childlike faith every time someone says they want to help, and just believe that, even if they promise something crazy, it's like, yes. But then I want to protect my heart. And then, so then I go a teeter on, we'll see.
Yes.
And sometimes I get that we'll see attitude. Someone tells me something that they really want to do and help. And I don't know, is it if it's a lack of faith, or if it's protection, or maybe I should just believe everybody that tells me they want to help. Do you struggle with that at all, or do you just kind of turn it off?
I don't struggle with it at all. I have learned to just listen, not despise it. Not despise it. You said, we are coming. I said, okay, great. Yeah, you are welcome here. So, I didn't despise your promise, but I didn't count on it until it happened. Now, when God promises something, then I'm all in, and I fully believe, and my waiting is different. My waiting for God's promise is His timing. when God promises something, like I just mentioned about some of his promises, I am just waiting for his time. But when a human being promises me something, I wait with a different attitude. I'm like, oh, well, it may happen, it may not happen. But when God promises, I know it will happen. It's just a matter of timing. I don't know. I never had put much thought into it. But since you're asking, I mean, for me, it's not like a faith. It's just because I won't even say I have been burnt by these, but like people promise, you see, I don't know if you can see behind me a truck. That's a water truck. I have had people promising, oh, this is so great before we had a truck. Oh, this is so great. We want to help you with a truck. I had someone saying like, I will buy you a water truck. And I came back and I told Vicente, I said, we are getting a water truck. And it never happened. And so what it does though is sometimes depending on who you work with, you get their expectations and hopes up and it does not happen. And people may think that you got the money and you, as they say here, that you ate the money, as a saying here in Mozambique. And so then how do you justify? I have had people come here to Gumbane and say, we are gonna help the school. And they got the principal of the school, they got the teachers from the school and said, we're gonna help the school. And these people turned their backs and left and never sent a cent. So what would they think? They're not believers. And here's this person, white missionary, maybe she got the money and she kept for herself. And so then I learned to not get excited, to not share promises from people until it happens. So for me, it's not lack of faith. It's just, to me, it's wisdom.
You coming here, Mama coming here, both single women. No problem, completely received.
We are completely received, but we have heard, not so much now, but in the past, we have heard like, oh, that's the church of the ladies. You know, because we had ladies and we were ladies and we had ladies and most of the church were ladies and children. And so we barely had any men. So we did some prayer and fasting and we called the men in the spirit. I'm like, I called the drunkard. I called the drug addicts. I called them in the spirit. You come here. Because the men are, of course, in every culture, they're like key. They're one of the pillars. And so now we have many men in our leadership and still we're 3 women pastor in the church. And we have our assistant, he's not a pastor yet, and our worship leader. He fulfills a very important role, but he's not a pastor yet. But I don't think that's a problem anymore. I mean, it has never been a problem. It was just a point.
The feeding program, how important is the feeding program as far as these kids? Do they need to be fed 5 days a week?
One of the things that tell me how important is our feeding program is when we have a kid, and we have that happen very often. We have a kid that come in and they say, oh, I've got a headache. But mostly they say, my stomach hurt. And so in the beginning, we didn't know what that could be. So then we would give them a little tummies, you know, those like Tums, yeah. We would give them some Tums. But then our teachers just thought, okay, let's go to the kitchen. And so then they would ask for a plate of food before time. And so then they noticed that every time they did that, the kid within like half an hour or 40 minutes, they would just be normal and play in the classroom. And so then we started seeing the pattern in that I have a headache or have a stomach pain ache. But then when they ate, no headache, no stomach ache. And so now, whenever we have a kid that come with those symptoms, we know that's hunger. And so then they learn now how to ask, so did you eat last night? And so often, most cases, all, see if not 99% of the cases, they say, no, I didn't eat. And they'll say, oh, I ate yesterday here. Or if it's a Tuesday, then they would have eaten maybe, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday. That's a kid, like little kids. And so that's not the case for all the children, but that's the case for many children. And Mozambicans they have pride, you know, and they're not like, not gonna say, I don't have food in my house. They keep it to themselves. But then that's how we know how important to feed these children is.
And so how, on average, you're feeding how many kids?
We feed every day. We feed 250 kids every day. And on Saturdays, maybe 300 or 500 like last Saturday. Yeah.
They heard that the Malongos were here.
The whites are here. Balungo. They heard that the Balungo is here. The whites are here, so they wanted to see the Balungo.
Everybody that comes here, they talk about seeing the kids pray. You just talked about seeing the kids pray. Now, there's, nurture versus nature. They are not just by nature good prayers, right?
No, they're taught.
How is that taught? I've never seen kids pray like that.
So I believe that you teach by showing. And so we pray and the kids see us pray. And we don't hide. When we pray. And I have this little 7 years old. So we were doing this call for people that wanted to serve in different ministries in the church. And so there we had intercession ministry. And then this 7 years old went back and said, it was for adults. And then she went home and said, Mama, I'm going to give my name to the intercession team. I want to be an intercessor. She's 7. I was so blessed by that because she doesn't miss any service. And sometimes she doesn't even go to the children's classroom. She wants to be with the adults and she is praying. And so it's a natural result. We pray, the kids pray. We fast. They fast. The families here teach, they fast. Every Friday, it's a fasting day. We fast. And so then some families then make their kids fast too. And so we teach them by showing them how.
You also teach them that they're not, quote unquote, poor.
Yes. That's what so generally in Africa, there is this, I guess by history, by the colonialism that took place years ago, many Africans have the mentality of, I am poor, I am supposed to be given. I cannot give, even among themselves. So if one of them is a little better off than the other, will keep their money, even if he's hungry, but if they're out in the city or something, they will wait for the other one that has a little more to pay for a soda, for a drink for him, even if he has money, because I won't pay for him because he has more than I do. So he owed to pay for me. And so this is almost like a mentality. At least I will speak for Mozambique because I don't want to generalize. Africa has more than 50 countries, but it is something I've seen in other countries too. So in my church, in here, I say that is something that I want to break from people's mind. I'm like, you are not so poor that you cannot give something. And you are not poor because poverty is in the mind. Poverty is a mindset. Do you have 2 legs? Can you breathe? Do you have 2 arms? Even if you don't have 2 legs, but if you have a working heart, you can always do something. And little by little, I feel like some people are having, it's hard, especially with adults. With kids, we're like trying to form. To form is easier than to transform. So the kids were trying to form a different mentality in them. The adults, we're trying to transform and break that poverty mentality. But I am happy to see that it's getting across. It's getting into their hearts. I can give so many examples, but one is I have this lady that she had bought a toilet for her house in the hope that one day she will build an inside bathroom. So she had that toilet for 8 years. And in 8 years, she did not have a means to build an indoor bathroom. And after one of my sermons here, she said, Pastora, I decided, I went home and I said, I'm going to use that toilet. And so she built an outside, that's all she could do. She built an outside bathroom with an inside toilet. And so she said, thank you so much for your teachings and things like that. So yes, my people are not poor. There are people out there that are rich financially, but they're very poor in their hearts. And my people, they're not poor.
Is that the main, I know you have many messages, but is that the main message to the church here? What is the main message? Is it presence? Is it prayer? Is it self-value? What do you think that you end up over a year preaching the most?
Oh gosh. Yeah, like you just said, there are many things. But this is definitely one of the biggest key messages that I speak more often. It's not that I preach specific messages about this, but this is almost in all my messages. Mm-hmm. Another thing is God's glory. Seeking God's glory. I believe that God's power is manifested where there is a need, but God's glory, He manifests, He lets His glory to show His glory. He lets His glory to be shown where He's pleased with us. So I always teach the church that I preach a lot, that where there is sin, we can't please God when we are in sin. But if we are clean, it's like naturally we'll attract His presence and the hunger in our hearts for His presence. So God's glory, I desire it. I want it with all my heart. And I think I share it with the church. So yeah, God's glory, attracting God's glory is one of the biggest thing. But not having a poverty mentality it's present in almost every sermon I preach as well as other things like prayer, fasting. But I would say these two things are top list.
Do you think that you've seen the most of God's glory that you'll see? Or do you think that there's another notch that you're going to...
Oh my goodness. I don't think I have seen anything of God's glory. We have seen a lot for our human minds, but I know in my spirit that we have seen a lot of what we would consider if we could measure according to our human understanding. But in my spirit, I know that we haven't seen anything yet. And one of the biggest desires of my heart is to know how much God can do through a life that is fully devoted to Him. And I look at myself and I say, I want to be that fully devoted heart to God. And I desire to see on the earth how much God can do through a life that's fully devoted to Him. And I try to give more of myself every day to see if one day I will be fully devoted to Him to see what He can do through a person like me, like somebody like an ordinary person that is just fully devoted to Him.
We are kind of on a little 4-day break. We just had a team here. Awesome trip, a church trip, 18 people on that team. And then we have 13 coming. Visas, we were praying. I think you had more faith than I did that these visas were coming.
Yeah.
That everybody's getting their visas right now, like FedExed. Yes. They're all getting their visas in the next couple hours. And then tomorrow they start flying here. Yes. We're going to go home. And then 3 weeks later, we're coming back with another team. Why do you like bringing teams? It's stressful. It's not a break. A lot of people think when you bring a team to visit a missionary that it's a blessing to the missionary. There are blessings to the people, but it's stressful for the missionary. It's a lot of work. You don't get a break when they're. So, but what is the value of bringing teams?
For me, the value of having a team, like you just said, you nailed it. It blesses the people, but I have been asked, would it not be more fruitful if all this money of 18 tickets and all the logistics and all the visa money and all the, we're not paying accommodation anymore, but like accommodation money and food money, whatever. I mean, we could like turn this community upside down. But for me, having the team is not about us, honestly, in like true honesty. Having the teams is about the team.
Yeah.
Is about how much they can be touched by God and how much their lives can be transformed in a 5-day trip. I got a text today from one of the team members saying that she was so deeply impacted that she cannot take Gumbane out of her mind. She woke up at 3 and she had been praying and having visions from the Lord. Her life was completely transformed. And so for me, having the team is not about us. Like I said, it's a lot of work. But having the team is about the team and how much God will touch them, impart something in their lives. And also for me, specifically in this setting, this location, in this ministry, is about what God said, that the nations would come here and take whatever we had here back to the nations. So
I've heard that argument a lot too. Why wouldn't it be so much beneficial if people sent the money? The thing is, but people are not sending $2,000 at a time. People are not saying, you know what, I'm not going to go on a missions trip. I'm going to send you $2,000.
Right.
So it's not money that you would have if the team didn't come.
Right.
That money just goes to Starbucks and Olive Garden.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're saying.
And also for me, it's like people would not be touched by watching a video of us or reading a book or seeing pictures in a magazine. People would not be touched the same way. There is no comparison like being here, feeling this smelling the smell, feeling the cold, sleeping on the floor, or walking under the stars, or bathing in like an outside bathrooms in a bucket shower. It's there. We can try, but we'll never be able to describe what it really is like.
We added, to my caution, we added something to this last trip. We're doing the next trip and the next trip of everybody stays the night in groups of 2 in one of your volunteers or leaders in your church's house. And we tried it out last week and just like, hopefully this goes well. And everybody came back like that was the impact.
Yes.
Like I asked a lot of them the last night, that was the biggest impact for most of them.
Wow.
But I asked you this question, why? Because we're staying in these homes, block homes, and they're warming up water for our bucket showers, and they're giving us their bed, and they're sleeping on the floor in the living room.
Yeah.
They're cooking for us the little bit of food you said they had to save up to feed us. The food that it was rice and chicken and yuca.
That they don't have every day.
They don't have. They made a sacrifice. Yeah. We're sitting at their table and they're sitting on the floor because we can't get them to eat with us.
And there are not enough chairs for everybody.
And we're like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. And we're here to serve you. And we're sitting at the table and sleeping in your bed and you're on the floor. Why? And I asked you, why? And you have a list 3 times as long as you need of people that want to host us. Why did they want to host us?
Because it is an honor to have a guest. They say that a house that is not visited, it's not a blessed house. It's not like a idiomatic translation for that would be, it's not a house that respected. Because to have a guest means that you are important, because someone would care so much to go and visit you at your house, especially like spend a night. It's a big thing. And eat your food. One of the things that most of them said, these people, my people said about the team visiting, said, these people, they're so humble and simple. They ate what we offered them. They ate our food. That's so important for them. Like having someone at their house, especially of a higher class, economic class, like in quotes, higher, more important people, than they would feel that like about themselves, and say they're staying at my house. It's a big thing. It's like, oh wow, I am important because I'm hosting you.
It was a very special thing, and we're going to be doing it again in just a few nights, and I think it's going to be a staple of the trips. It's just it's so good. And it also, one thing that's important to me on these trips, I don't want people to come on trips, and a lot of them come on trips thinking, okay, we have a project. The people are our project. We're going to save them, or we're going to better their lives, or I've got to come and do something important. We do want our trips to feel important, but you come in with the mentality of us to you, right? We're going to do this for you. Mm-hmm. And we have found that it is so much more beneficial and special when you remove the us and you, and it's just relationship. Yes. And that I need you. I need Mama Maria. I need the cooks. I need them in my life. Mm-hmm. And they need me in their life. Mm-hmm. And we become friends. And so many of them that left the house, they're like, I felt like I left a friend's house. Yes. It broke off the label of them. Yes. And we became part of them.
Yes. Like I said to the first team, when people come, and well, you already said that when people come and see the people as the poor people of Africa, and this project, and so it puts up a barrier. No one sees it. It's an invisible barrier, but it's like a psychological barrier. It's like, in some ways, it's never said. It's maybe never consciously thought of, but it is in there. It's subjective, but like the thought that I am better than you because I am coming to help you. I'm coming to give you something. So therefore, I'm somewhat better. I'm doing this for you, kind of thing. But when you're with them, walking with them, going to their house, it's like, actually, yes, you have less than I do, but you are a person. You are someone I can have a relationship with. Same way about from our people to the foreigners. Like, they're not a bank. They're not like the whites that can give us the stuff. They're actually people that I can relate with, I can be friends with, I can have a picture and treasure that, because Mano Kyle has been in my house. He's my friend, and keep on like talking on whatever communication you choose to, and like it's like a relationship. It breaks off that barrier of we are a project and you are the helpers. So we are less and you are more because you are coming to help. And actually, we could even change the word instead of helping, like cooperate, collaborate to do something.
You have problems and I have solutions.
Right.
So, no.
Yeah. No, and honestly, like money is not the solution for everything. When people come with that mentality, okay, you poor, I will get. No, money is not the solution for everything. And so, but the relationship opens up solutions that money cannot bring.
Well, I'm going to let you get ready for church.
Let's get ready for church.
But thanks so much for doing this. It's a busy week. This is like the least busy, but still busy day.
Yes.
But this was like on a must list. We had to get this interview.
Thank you
Celia.
for the opportunity to expose Africa in a different perspective, I'd say, and open up our ministry so people can have a better understanding of what we do and how we do it.
Celia wants you to come to Gumbane. We have opportunities for you to come to Gumbane. Go to farflungtincan.com, sign up for a Mozambique trip, or go to farflungtincan.com and click Mozambique and give. Either way, connect and be a part of what's happening. Thanks for listening.